This is the M60A3 15mm box set from the Plastic Soldier Company. This kit expands their Cold War range. The box set contains 5 M60A3 tanks. If we have a look at the back of the box, there are two views of the M60A3, showing the winter verdant MERDC camouflage scheme of forest green, field drab, sand and black. The Vallejo colours they recommend for this are 974 green sky, 825 camo pale brown, 862 black grey, and 976 buff. Tracks and machine gun barrels are 863 gunmetal. Early M60s in the 1960s and 70s would have been standard US olive drab. Later they fielded MERDC camouflage patterns. MERDC was a standardised camouflage pattern where two dominant colours each covered 45% of the tank's surface, with the two secondary colours covering 5% each. The colour scheme had a palette of 12 colours, and mixing these allowed different schemes for different conditions. Just one thing to watch for, the smoke discharges on the example here are upside down. Let's look inside the box. There are 5 sprues of medium grey plastic and 1 instruction sheet. A little differently, one side of the instructions shows the parts on the sprue with numbers and part descriptions but no completed kit. The other side shows the step-by-step instructions, which are pretty straightforward. I would probably approach the assembly a bit differently, but more on that later. Here's the plastic. Each tank comes on a single sprue of medium grey plastic, with 5 of these in the box. Detail is generally sharp and well defined. Here's the lower hull. Note the scalloped edges, these fit the return rollers in the track sections and help secure them and aid alignment. This section of the sprue also has the commander's MG coupler and crew figures. Next is the upper hull. There are plenty of strong engine deck and vent details here. The gun and mantlet pieces are here too, as is the rear hull plate, turret grab rails and the hull headlights. Having the headlights as separate pieces means they're more detailed than if they were moulded directly onto the hull. While there are no guide pins here, they glue on okay with a bit of care. The grab rails fit into channels on the turret sides. The space between the rails and the turret is solid, not open, but this makes the part stronger. Otherwise this would be pretty fragile. The tracks and suspension are moulded together. Each track section is 2 pieces, an outer and inner section. These parts have pins to aid positioning and fit together without any issues. The join seam runs up the middle of the track but is hidden by the track pattern. There are jerry cans and ammo boxes here as well. The final section of the sprue is the turret piece. This has the upper and lower turret pieces as well as the 3-part turret bustle stowage rack, smoke grenade launchers and loader's hatch. So that's the parts. This is an in-box review, so I'm not going to do a step-by-step build. Here's the assembled kit. Overall detail is strong and well formed. Like the Leopard kit, I think this kit lacks locating tabs in places. They are used in the suspension, but other pieces like the hull and turret halves just butt join together, and there's room to get the alignment wrong. The first construction step has you join the upper and lower hull pieces together. I would suggest assembling the track and suspension pieces first, and attaching them to the lower hull. Then have the hull rear plate trimmed and ready, so when you join the upper and lower hull pieces this can lock and align them. Similarly, have the mantlet piece trimmed and ready when you glue the upper and lower turret pieces together. Again, this part helps lock and align the other pieces. It all goes together well in the end, it just requires a bit of care. This kit is well up to the excellent standard for current PSC plastic kits. It builds into a great miniature for the table. I haven't seen one of the Battlefront M60 kits yet, so I can't really compare them. The PSC kit is an M60A3. The turret is the later elongated needle nose shape rather than the rounder M48 style turret used on the initial M60. This example has smoke grenade launchers and the grenade boxes mounted on the turret. The sight bulges from the old Coincidence rangefinder appear to be a bit flattened or bolted over. Certainly they were more prominent and rounded on all the reference pictures I found. This model doesn't have the primary visual indicator of an M60A3, a thermal sleeve on the main gun. This is an odd omission. The thick sleeve changed the profile of the gun considerably, and was very widely fielded on the M60A3. However, having the gun without the sleeve means the kit could be assembled without the grenade launchers and ammo boxes, and would pass on the tabletop for an M60A1. The ribbed aluminium wheels are also good for the M60A1. Some M60A3s replace these with the older steel M48 wheels. Just a note, the position of the grenade launchers on the printed instructions and rear box art is incorrect. It shows them fitted upside down. The wider part of the launcher should be at the top, with the single launcher cell at the bottom. The launchers should cant forward when attached. This is easy enough to get right if you know about it. The artwork on the front of the box is correct, so use that as a reference. Let's look at some history. A direct development of the earlier M48 Patton tank, the M60 was introduced into US service in 1960. This tank remained the primary US tank for the majority of the Cold War era, and was used by many Allied nations. Essentially, the M60 was a product-improved M48 rather than a new design, replacing the 90mm gun with the new M60A1 105mm gun, a derivative of the British Royal Ordnance L7. It also upgraded the power plant, fitting a new Continental V12 diesel engine. The design was meant to incorporate composite armour using fused silica glass for the turret and hull, which is why the M60 has a flat hull front instead of the M48's curved lines. However, problems with materials manufacture and increased costs meant this armour was never introduced, and all M60s were built using conventional steel. The initial M60 model was superseded by the M60A1, which introduced the new longer turret shape which increased internal volume for the crew. Further improvements in armour protection, fire control and gun stabilisation followed. Despite these continuing developments, the M60 was meant to be a stopgap, but the new technology underpinning the replacement MBT 70 design proved troublesome, and the program was later scrapped. This meant the M60 had to soldier on. To cover the shortfall, the M60A2 was developed. Nicknamed Starship, the M60A2 was a revolutionary concept. It pioneered a narrow, low-silhouette turret, and replaced the conventional gun with a 152mm cannon that fired both conventional rounds and the Shillelagh anti-tank missile. However, this new technology also proved troublesome, and the M60A2 was phased out in 1981, with the turrets scrapped and the hulls rebuilt to the new M60A3 standard. The M60A3 reintroduced the 105mm gun and needle-nose turret of the earlier models, but included a number of technological enhancements. These included smoke grenade launchers, a laser rangefinder, wind sensor, stabiliser and ballistic computer. The gun also received a thermal sleeve to minimise barrel warp from differential heating. US Marine Corps vehicles also received ERA explosive add-on armour to increase protection. This is the version of the M60 that served until the introduction of the new M1 Abrams tank, finally being phased out of US service in 2005. However, it remains in service with other countries to the present day, with commercial upgrade packages keeping it a frontline main battle tank. Israel has continued to upgrade their M48 and M60 fleet as the Magach. You can see here that the add-on armour protection has significantly changed the vehicle's silhouette. So that's the M60A3 from the Plastic Soldier Company. Generally it went together well with no real issues. I would have liked more locating tabs in places, but with care this isn't a big issue. Detail is strong and plentiful. The lack of a thermal sleeve on the barrel was an odd choice for an M60A3. It isn't wrong as such, but most M60A3s had them fitted, and it is the main visual indicator of the type. The flattened rangefinder bulges on the turret are not quite right, and the ribbed road wheels were less common on the M60A3. Apart from the gun, these are all minor issues at 15mm scale, and nothing here stops this being a nice little kit. So that's the Plastic Soldier Company M60A3 plastic box set. Another great kit from PSC. I really enjoyed building it, and it is great to see PSC continuing to expand their Cold War range. Now gamers have a choice of plastic M60s for Cold War and modern battles. Thanks to the Plastic Soldier Company for supplying this review kit.